Right, today is the 1st of October 1994. We're talking to Tony Isaacs, boatman for the Needles Lighthouse. Tony, can you tell us how long you've been doing the job?
Not off the cuff, no. I suppose I've been doing it myself for 22 years, I suppose. But I served an apprenticeship with a chap that did it before me, or for many years, crewing, winter times mainly. And he himself used to do it with my father before that. And it goes back before the war with grandfather and great-grandfather. And let me think about this. My great-great-grandfather was a keeper down the lighthouse before they built the Needles. So I suppose we've been doing it for a few years now between us.
So whereabouts was the original lighthouse he was on?
Well, that was perched up on top of the headland overlooking where the lighthouse is now, overlooking the rocks. I don't think it was a lot of good. I don't think they used it for many years. I think it was shrouded with mist more often than not. So that's what prompted someone to build the present one where it is now.
And you were saying something nasty happened to him.
Yeah, it was rather nasty, yes. Part of the duties, so I've been told, of the lighthouse keeper in those days was to patrol the cliff between the Needles headland and Freshwater Bay. And he was attending to his duties one night and he came across a gang of smugglers who, obviously being recognised, dispatched him over the cliff edge, and he was never seen again.
Oh, very nice. Yeah, luckily keepers don't have to put up with that nowadays. Now, boat reliefs. Is the Maverick, the one you got now, the one you've had the most, or?
The old Maverick, yeah. Yeah, she's done a few reliefs in her time. A few hairy ones, a few nice ones, like today. I suppose today was one of the flattest and safest reliefs we've ever had. Yeah, and of course the chap that had her before me, it was his number one boat for the lighthouse. And I think he got it from a government surplus agent, who in turn had got it from the battleship the Vanguard.
So it's done some years then?
Yeah, it certainly has. Always. It's Admiralty built. She's built in the Admiralty dockyard, you see, so they made a good job of her. I mean, I've wrecked her twice and she's still come through, she's still going there. Probably be going long after I'm dead and gone.
What sort of reliefs you done? You said you've done some hairy ones. What have they been like?
Well, I suppose with these days of health and safety, I suppose it would be probably frowned on now, but I mean, a year or two ago, you had a job to do. You had to get on and do it the best you could. Well, I've had my mouth go dry a time or two over the years.
What sort of keepers have you met then?
They're all sorts, aren't they? I think the keepers are an example of the broad spectrum of men all over the country. I mean, of course, they come from all walks of life originally. You get the nice, easy, laid-back chaps, and then you get those that are on edge and full of tension. I mean, we've had chaps in recent years, not so much in earlier days, I must say, more in recent years, who perhaps 3 or 4 days before the leave are jumping up and down because it's blowing a bit, and start lining up helicopters and modern things like that. You know.
Is that to come off more than going on?
Yeah, it's generally instigated by a keeper who's getting a bit worried about getting home. But we did have one example a year or two ago, and the keeper who was waiting to go afloat, he initiated the helicopter, so he's so keen to get out there and get on with his job. But I'm glad we didn't have too many of them. We had a relief one day when it was a little bit naughty down. There were 1 or 2 curling round the corner, and we had a chap on board, a keeper now, who's since deceased, by the name of Bob Punt. He was only a little bloke, and he used to wear yellow wellies and a great big hat. And we had a curler come round the corner. I never saw this one coming. He kicked us broadside and knocked us right down on our beam. And we had some DLF blokes on board with a load of gear. And anyway, we went right down on our beam, and the chaps on the light said they could see the length of the keel out of the water. Anyway, when we finally came up right and had a look round, nobody could see Bob. There was no sign of him. We thought, oh Christ, he's gone over the side. See? And no sign of him in the water either. And then suddenly there was a stirring amongst all the debris that had fallen in the boat, and a yellow welly appeared. And there was Bob. He'd fallen down in the bottom of the boat and got covered up by the gear. And oh, that was funny. So we had to take him back to Yarmouth and get him to hospital. He suffered from diabetes, the poor chap, and shook him up a bit. Yeah, all sorts of things like that happen.
Now the light's going automatic. What's your feelings on that when no keepers there anymore?
Well, I mean, I think my feelings are probably a bit deeper than most other boatmen. Although you talk to most of the boatmen around here, they think it's absolutely crazy now. We've got the Coast Guard station at the top, see? They've shut down. Well, it's not manned very often. I think if you have trouble with your boat on a weekend between 10:30 and 4:30 on a Saturday and Sunday, you're all right, because there's somebody up there keeping a lookout. But that service has run right down, and now there's not going to be any lighthouse keepers out there keeping a watchful lookout. I mean, most of the time there'll be absolutely nobody looking round out there. It's such a busy area, so much shipping coming, well, small boat shipping to and fro. It seems crazy that whoever is in charge of whatever government department should allow all this to happen. These days, where health and safety seems to be in the forefront of everything, in this instance they're running everything down to zero. So, I feel very sad about it. I mean, apart from the fact that I lose a living and break down the line of employment, which goes back several generations, I'm very sad about it. But I can look back on some good times. For example, I suppose I can walk into a pub anywhere in the country and have a pint with a mate. I don't suppose many people can say that. I've met keepers from all over the country, from all different places. From Wigan Pier, I can have a chinwag with old Gordon Medlicott on Wigan Pier, and a pint with Tony Bedard down St Ives, and you can go on and on.